You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Folks, listen up. US Cellular wants to help everyone get the gift of connection this holiday season. Already a customer? This applies to you too, because right now, new and current customers can get any phone, and I mean any phone, for free. Yes, free. Sounds like it's time to make the switch. Spread the holiday cheer far and wide this season with a new phone. Everyone can get the gift of connection at US Cellular. Get any phone free today. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Stugotz, you may have noticed that after football Sundays for a few months right now, a lot of people have crawled into the space between the games are over and 9 a.m. Eastern. Shannon Sharp is there with Ocho. The Pardon My Take and Bill Simmons podcast come out on Sunday night, West Coast time. Football here, there are a lot of people to be grabbed this morning, and God Bless Football gets in early, tries to get in so early that they compete against Good Morning Football, which is 7 a.m. It's hard to compete with. But today I'm told, because Austin Eckler is going to be available, I am told that God Bless Football has not come out yet, and now we are getting, and it's been a while since we got these, Stugotz's original takes are going to appear here first on this show instead of his property with Billy God Bless Football. We are going to get his football maximum takes.
And Billy's takes. I mean, we gave the takes, we just haven't released the takes yet. That's the deal.
Well, no, but also you can control repeating the same things. Like, it's 100% within your control. Like, I will not repeat the same things.
Right.
But Dan, you'd agree, the decision was made that Austin Eckler, we're going to talk to him today. We're going to release it today. We're not going to sit on that until Friday. It doesn't make any sense.
That's correct. Brandon Staley has been fired, relieved, I think, at this point, right? Not just relieved as a verb, but relieved I can go home now. Stop bothering me with this.
Not just relieved from his duties, you're saying.
That's
just,
right.
There's relief in this?
Oh, my God.
He wants to be a head coach. There's no relief, just
understood.
embarrassment.
That's fine. He does want to be a head coach, but not for these last 3 games. There's no point. Like Zach Wilson yesterday, he gets a concussion. Was it worth it? No. He was reluctant to play. He should have been. That's why. He didn't need the brain damage in pursuit of that.
Right.
But we'll get to the Jets in a second. Okay. What I want to know about what is happening with Billy and you and God Bless Football is there a device that, Billy, you can alert me when he's giving a recycled take that will now appear on a dated God Bless Football, but a take that hasn't come out yet? So he'd be giving it here first, but then you'd hear it again on God Bless Football. Stugotz loves to recycle and reheat stuff.
We're fairly safe today, I think, unless you want to play a game of If the Season Ended Today, in which we break down the playoff matchups as they stand today.
It was great.
No, thank you.
I mean, Dan, Bengals Chiefs.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a big one.
Who wins, huh?
If the season ended today.
Is it Dolphins Colts?
But here's the twist on our
I thought the Dolphins.
Go with that.
Yeah.
Here's our twist on If the Season Ended Today, Dan. The health also ends today.
Yes.
So we don't know if Tyreek is going to be good to play in the playoffs because the season ended today. See, that's the twist.
Okay, and so because Stugotz is good at mailing it in and loves to recycle and reheat, and told us last week, and I didn't know this was possible, he just said, well, yeah, I just only got so many takes. And I can't, so I got to repeat some of them. I got to get them out multiple times because I'm out of material, basically.
Yeah.
And I asked Jessica and Billy when you walked in today if this was the 8th straight month of consecutive days that you have worn that same outfit.
On a Monday?
Just in general.
I've worn this sweatshirt
every day.
1 to 2 times per week for the last, I want to say, 12 to 15 weeks. Yeah.
You also come here 1 to 2 times a week.
Wow. Yeah, well, I come here 3 times a week, 4 times a week now because of Fridays. So I have a rotation of 4 different Travis Matthew sweatshirts that I'll continue to wear until someone in sales picks up on the fact that I like Travis Matthew. I like their hats. I like their sweatshirts. I want to get a deal done with them, and no one in sales is taking the hits.
Hey, Feldman, let's go.
Thank you.
Come on, Feldman.
I'll take them off after we get the deal done.
Wait, why would you do that?
That's a good point. I don't know.
If in Travis Matthews' defense, you're doing the advertising for them for free, why would they give you any money?
All right. So stop wearing it.
This is my point. My overall point is Stugotz is a take machine. He's running out of takes. We got to squeeze.
I'm running out of sweatshirts.
We got to squeeze the rest of what's left out of it. He doesn't have that much more interest. The Jets have broken him. He went to a football game yesterday. He comes in bragging.
Yeah.
I went to a football game yesterday and realized why I don't go to football games.
I got to tell you, though, Hard Rock Stadium, I have not been there since, I can't even remember the last time it was. It's gorgeous,
it's
Dan.
Yes.
It really is. They have enhanced that stadium. It was nice. We sat on the Dolphins sideline. There is a definite advantage to sitting on that sideline as opposed to the road team sideline because it's really sunny on that sideline. So the stadium is beautiful. Mike has told me it's beautiful. The enhancements are great. The food was delightful. Here's the problem. I'm stuck watching the Jets. When I watch at home and the Jets are down 30-0 and they're not getting the ball over midfield until the third quarter, I could switch off from the game. When I'm at the game, I'm stuck watching the Jets.
Well, let's talk about this for a second because the Jets were mathematically eliminated. What I'm about to say is fairly shocking, right? The Patriots gave up the division, and it looks like December is going to give us a hell of a game, Buffalo-Miami, at the end of the season for, like, a lot of important things. And Buffalo's scary. And Buffalo's gone from a 15% chance of making the playoffs, according to the New York Times model, to before beating Dallas, 49% chance of making the playoffs.
How about New York Times? Stay out of sports. Don't need it from the New York Times.
Well, they did literally close their sports desk earlier this year.
Keep your models also. We don't need it.
And gave the jobs to non-union employees.
You know, we had a thing, and I thought about you this weekend, Jess, in where SI wrote an article where they were quoting something Peter King said on God Bless Football, and I legitimately was wondering if this was like an AI article that is somehow like now taking content from podcasts and crediting, which I thought was great, but it did make me wonder, did a person actually write this?
It's a good question. There was a big shakeup at the top of Sports Illustrated last week. They have a new person operating allegedly a person.
Allegedly a person running the vitamin company.
And it does seem like two people, I don't think this was because of the AI thing, but two people at the top of the company are now no longer at the company. But I think questions will persist whether robots are writing articles because that's what you do to yourself when you have robots write articles.
Peter King and Billy are going to be washing dishes against each other coming up.
In January, he made that he said anytime you want, and then we said next week, and he said I can't.
Well,
right.
But I said
playoff dishes.
I said that you had to tell Peter King. Peter King is an icon, a legend. It's fairly amazing to see Peter King outlast Sports Illustrated as a brand, as still one of these information insiders from a different time. His information is great. His contacts are great. And Billy the Duke is coming for what Peter King has always been and always had. He's coming to be the king, and they're going to wash dishes against each other. But Billy said before the show, Billy, what can I reveal here? Because you're saying you're playing the long game. Well, you have said of Peter King, game close to passing him by.
Who said that? I didn't say that.
No, because
I didn't. We have dishes to wash. Not against each other, mind you, with each other. Separate, but with each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not a competition. We're not seeing who can wash the dishes the fastest. Here's the thing.
Is one washing, one drying, that kind of thing?
This is what happened. No. We just...
So two sinks?
We started... Yeah, he's going to have his sink, and I'm going to have my sink. He's going to be in his kitchen. I will be in mine. Yeah, because here's the thing.
It loses a little something.
No,
there.
it won't lose anything. I'm telling you. You're going to see that me and him have almost identical kitchens. That's what we figured out when we were talking to each other. We just started talking. You know what happens when sometimes people just talk, they get to know each other, and you just realize, you know what? That's what, honestly, guys, this is what the world needs. We just need to talk to each other more, and you're going to see the person right next to you, the person in front of you, the person on the Zoom across from you, they have more in common with you than you actually think. And if we could just set aside the differences that we have and focus on the things we have in common, the world would be a wonderful place. And that's what happened with Peter King and I when we were talking, and he said he didn't realize he was on a podcast at the moment. We were just talking about how we like to wash dishes. He said he likes to fold clothes. He says he likes to make his bed, which I think is a total waste of time. But I'm not focusing on that difference. I'm focusing on our commonalities. And the two of us both enjoy washing dishes.
I want you guys like swaying next to each other as like you pass over the dish to dry, like a married couple would.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is making your bed a total waste of time at Le Batard Show?
So did he ever say anything bad about Peter King in the
Yes.
past? Or?
No.
Yes.
Never.
This is the thing, okay? He
Not
says
on
he's
record.
playing the long game because the long game ends with that's the victory. They wash dishes together, and he's protecting that because God bless football is compromised, biased.
How dare
not
you,
a journalist.
sir?
What are you talking
How
about?
dare you,
Listen,
sir?
Not a journalistic entity.
What do you mean?
But yet you keep getting rewarded for it with international acclaim that makes you surpass Peter King, according to the Guardian's rankings, on being a football expert. You are scared of the Bills. Don't lie to me. We are trying around here, Stugotz.
He dropped the dookie.
Scared.
We are trying to do a new kind of journalism.
Yeah.
Billy wants to be the modern version of what Peter King is. Hey,
I do?
the modern version. And Mike is a genuine insider. He knows what's going on in the portal. He is in the business of it. And
I just want to do dishes, man.
Mike Ryan, I want 90 seconds of good insider information from new media. You're a booster. You're also a businessman. You're an information person.
And we're compromised?
Well, he's another one, another compromised journalistic entity. Some might call it evolution. I call it totally biased.
I am not a journalist either. I'm just a member of the media, but I am not a journalist. Hey, it's Mike, and I want to motivate you to make Miller Lite a part of your football watching experience. Here's the pitch. It's got only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving. With a smooth taste and a crisp, clean finish, you get the taste that you crave without the calories. And, football fans, I can assure you, from personal experience, there is no other light beer, not on this wonderful planet of ours, that goes with football quite like Miller Lite. Make football time Miller time. No matter what team you're rooting for, there is one thing we can all agree on. Miller Lite and football bring us all together. So, I want you to take my advice and make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Dan Le Batard.
Teammates can't shoot from three. Now they're gonna see a different Jimmy. Now he's just playing Nickelback in the locker room, and
Stugotz.
they'll play D and shoot threes as they chase the Nets for the 6th seed. These 5 words in his head scream, "Are we winning games yet?"
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
However, your information is very good. And Lucy and Jessica have been inside of the business, understanding what's happening in the portal. I've been learning because you have to understand, I'm watching a business change in front of me. It's disorienting. Like, I don't understand. What do you mean quarterbacks are now $2 and $3 million? Or like, where are the numbers? I can't believe that we're making it this overt, where Desmond Ridder is paid less than some of the better quarterbacks who teams are now fighting for, because what a great investment, Stugotz. I can fill my stadium. Carolina Panthers can't fill their stadium right now. I can fill my stadium if I just give a quarterback $2 million.
Well, and also, if I can get other people to give a quarterback $2 million, because you get the benefits of filling your stadium, you get that TV contract, and someone else pays for the labor. So the injustice is still around. You talked about transparency and how this is a business now. And several days ago, Matt Rule addressed media, and he was asked directly, because they've been in the market for a quarterback, about what is this quarterback market?
Make no mistake that a good quarterback in the portal costs $1 million to $1.5 million to $2 million right now. So just on the same page, right? So let's make sure we all understand what's happening. So there's some teams that have $6 or $7 million players playing for them.
That's accurate. That's right around what the marketplace is for a quarterback. And as you mentioned, guys like Damian Ridder and Brock Purdy. Yeah, there are several college football quarterbacks that are making more money than starting NFL quarterbacks. these days. I don't necessarily think that's right, but that's the marketplace that we're in right now.
Matt Rule, didn't Nebraska just get a giant recruit? What's that backstory?
Raiola, yeah, they flipped him from Dylan Raiola was the nation's #1 quarterback commit. He hasn't flipped, but he got what is in recruiting terms called the crystal ball, which is, I mean, apropos for our head coach, but a crystal ball projection that he's going to Nebraska, and those are fairly strong in that industry. So in this game, Matt Rule in 1 year has aligned his resources and been able to flip a 5-star quarterback from the present 2-time defending national champion. That is a sea change, and it shows you that Nebraska will have the resources to compete, and they are in the Big Ten presently with a huge, juicy TV deal, and that is their economy. So they're investing in their economy, and that's a pretty big step for Nebraska.
I know it's weird, Dan, to have college quarterbacks making more than some NFL quarterbacks. It's weird. It's going to take a minute to get used to it, but I'm okay with it from this standpoint. You have teams or programs like Syracuse who never had a chance at getting a kid like Kyle McCord, the Ohio State quarterback. And now, because Ohio State has 3 or 4 good quarterbacks and they have new ones coming in every year, McCord thinks he's not going to play. Syracuse has the money to get McCord, and now Kyle McCord is the Syracuse quarterback. It's more opportunity for more programs.
And Van Dyke is now at Wisconsin, and you're going to have to win in the margin some with this, because this is such a sea change, Stugotz. Nebraska doesn't have any preordained right to be great at football, but they built it. Like, Lincoln, Nebraska is a place because Cornhusker football was winning championships at a time in America where the business was hidden, and Tom Osborne can rule the earth, beating Barry Switzer in the option offense. And now Nebraska has to evolve into this modern version. They hired Scott Frost, Stugotz. They were going to do it with, hey, let's get the hot new coach. Oh, never mind. The whole business has changed. Now let's go get the failed pro coach from Carolina, and he's going to tell everybody, hey, if you want me to actually be good at this, I need more money. And they're all panhandling. They're panhandling to make their programs better.
I mean, the panhandling is a great point, because there have been coaches with varying results, right? Lane Kiffin, for the last 3 years, has taken the opportunity every time to basically fundraise and say, we need more to compete here. Dave Doran, the NC State head coach, they were about to be talent rated. NC State has totally turned their season around. He sounded the klaxon. We need to keep our guys. We need people to compete in NIL, and they kept a wide receiver in Concepcion that a lot of teams were in on, and they got a quarterback from Coastal Carolina that they beat out UCF for. So this is basically politics. It's fundraising in that sense, and Matt Rule's doing a pretty good job of it so far.
What I like about it is that this year, if you look at the 3 quarterbacks that were invited to the Heisman ceremony, they were all transfers who had a more or less like a tough time with their first choices. Like Bo Nix had a really tough time at Auburn, was not a great player, transfers to Oregon, ends up putting up insane numbers and does really well, becomes a Heisman finalist. Same with Michael Penix, same with Jaden Daniels, had a really tough go of it at Arizona State, like we've talked about before. And so there's opportunities for players. Maybe you made the wrong choice, or it wasn't the right fit for you at whatever school you ended up going to, but then you transfer and you end up in the right situation with the right coach and the right team for you, and you have an opportunity to have a little bit of a second chance in your career. Going back to Raiola for a second, this went viral on Message Board Geniuses on Twitter. Great account. They rake through all the college football message boards and find the most just unhinged posts.
It's been a lot of FSU lately.
That's true. And this was after Dylan Raiola was rumored to be thinking of flipping to Nebraska. The header of this post from the Dogs HQ message board is, "Does anyone here work at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport?" And then the post says, "It's being reported that Raiola will visit Nebraska on Friday. I assume that he'll take the 2:21 p.m. Delta flight, which is also the last flight of the day to the state. Therefore, if this flight gets canceled, he likely won't be able to make the trip and will stay committed to UGA. Obviously, messing with commercial flights is a slippery slope, so I'm not suggesting that anybody does anything illegal. But does anyone here work for Delta? If some loyal UGA pilots or flight attendants call in sick at the last minute, the flight could be canceled and we could keep Raiola. Maybe someone working could hold the flight up for maintenance issues." At the very least, he could, quote, lose his checked bags, so you'd have to experience the Nebraska winter without
Not
a
suggesting
jacket.
that.
I'm just spitballing ideas, but if anyone has anything else, those would also be appreciated.
All right, let me take a step back here, Stugotz, on how it is that we're covering this stuff, because she just brought up a lot of things there, and I want to get to Mike giving us the latest information on what it is that's happening at the University of Miami, where they need to get a quarterback, and it seems like they've got an all-or-nothing plan. And Stugotz, when I look at what is happening in that sport, kids get to the wrong fit, whether it's Bo Nix. I thought it was the right fit. Like, it was, it was a beautiful story.
His dad played there.
It was a beautiful story.
Right, yeah.
And now they have more freedom and more options. And so the sport is hard to play. The position is hard to play. They arrive as kids, and the 3 Heisman finalists had to find a new place where they learned and got more reps outside of Indiana, going to other cities, playing bigger football, using the pipeline to the way it's supposed to be used. Minor league business that gets you to the pros. It's great that they have those options. It's wonderful that they have those options. But the whole thing is changing where we're paying kids who are 17 or 18 years old $2 million and changing their life instantaneously coming out of high school, and we're covering it like we used to do we're all now the recruiting letters, because this is a bigger thing and we care so much about Saturdays, we're all Tom Lemmings now, and we're more and more comfortable going younger and younger into the pipeline where you're paying kids and changing lives and bringing to these lives some unscrupulous behaviors, Stugotz, because Mike's got information here on what a school is doing to make sure that it can get the kids and win in the margins if they don't have the money, the kind of places you have to do shady business.
Yeah, I would like to say, and I know that you know this, Dan, but many in our audience who are just listening to your take may feel like you're conflating NIL with shady business practices in college football. No, those have always been around. There's a bit more transparency now, and in terms of the people providing resources, that net is wider. And so in some respects, loose lips sink ships, and other universities that had these tight circles where things could stay within the circle have had to expand their circles. And then you get more things like message board geniuses over there. But for example, I know where you were leading me to. There's an SEC power that one of their moves, if they're recruiting a kid, is occasionally they might enforce some influence in the penal system and see how they can help out a relative that might be behind bars. And that is a move that is old. That is not some new thing that NIL has brought forth. The marketplace does need a market correction. We're going to get to some sound from Chip Kelly, who's a really bright guy, and he has some thoughts about where college football should head. I'm very curious to get your thoughts on it, because I think this is the closest thing to a good solution that I've heard, and it's coming from someone that had to move to the Big Ten to compete. But since this is still technically the local hour, let's briefly talk about Miami's chase right now, which is extended well beyond several deadlines that they have instituted. They had both Will Howard and Cam Ward on campus last week. Can I stop you? I'd like bells and whistles on this, because this seems like it's coming here hot and heavy. Stugotz, I'm telling you, Miami has in Mike Ryan an insider, unlike the Barry Jacksons and the Scoop Slaters. Mike is inside this machine. Can we make this? This is big news. Mike Ryan has the latest in recruiting information. That's not. Yeah.
He wanted bells and whistles, though.
Yeah, well, you got this.
Well, what is that?
And if you're in the know, there's a lot of great reporters that follow Miami, so a lot of this stuff is public knowledge, such as the visits from Will Howard and Cam Ward. Where we are is Miami had a Thursday at 3 o'clock deadline, and as week unfolded, that actually got shifted up to Wednesday, and now it's still. The word was Cam Ward wanted to make a decision yesterday. That still hasn't happened, and I can tell you, genuinely, I have no idea who Miami's quarterback is going to be. If I had to guess, I'd venture a guess, but they could have had Will Howard, the Kansas State quarterback. They could have had him. And they would tell people last week that there really isn't a difference between these two quarterbacks. They rate them both. But Will Howard was ready to commit then and there. So if there was no difference, then why not just take the commitment from Will Howard? Seems to me like there is internally a bit of a difference in how they rate Cam Ward and Will Howard.
Whoop, whoop.
The evolution on it is it appears since a 5-star quarterback that is presently on USC's roster has entered the portal, that'd be a pretty big indicator that a new talent is coming in. And the most recent reports have Will Howard going to USC.
Ooh.
So where Miami stands in right now with Cam Ward is Cam Ward, unless there's a mystery school out there, and I guess you could throw Ohio State in the mix, even though I haven't heard anything with regards to them and Cam Ward, is the decision for Cam Ward is Miami or FSU.
Whoa!
That is not news.
What is Miami's backup plan, Mike?
Miami's backup plan was Will Howard, and that's gone to USC. What? So I guess a name that has been bounced around has been KJ Jefferson, or you just retain your guys and you develop them, or maybe just wait till the spring.
I liked him. I liked KJ Jefferson.
I liked him outside of Dan Enos.
From Arkansas? He's been there for 10 years.
Okay, who cares?
I mean, I liked him outside of Dan Enos' offense, but that where Miami stands right now is they're in a recruiting, well, it used to be called the recruiting battle. Now it's in negotiation with Cam Ward and his reps, and it's been reported on what he is looking for there. Ironically enough, even though Miami is reputed to be this big NIL school, when it comes to that position, Florida State is as competitive as anyone in the nation, and you have a school in Florida State that desperately needs a win because players are jettisoning left and right. So it'll be a great battle.
News and information supported by Chris Cody's ad-lib genius.
Saturday, Christmas comes early, only on Peacock. Bills, Chargers, an exclusive NFL game live in primetime. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern, exclusively on Peacock.
Peloton is your stage to work out your way. On a bike, on the mat, the great outdoors, at a gym, or even in your home. A Peloton in your house means you make the rules. You exercise when you want, wear what you want, and sing as loud as you want. When you spend your hard-earned money, you don't just buy a Peloton, you open the door for you to do you. And nothing beats the feeling of exercising on your own terms. Enter the Peloton bike, the freedom to move how you want to move. Ride, run, sweat, sing like nobody's watching. Why not bring a Peloton bike plus home for the holidays and work out your way? Focus on you this holiday season. Peloton is your stage to unleash the real you. You want to try a climb, high-intensity interval training, or low-impact ride class? You can. Or hop off the bike and pivot the screen to do a bar class, a strength class, or even a yoga class. You can. Make yourself uncomfortable in the comfort of your own space. For Peloton's December offer, head to onepeloton.com/deals. All access membership separate. Terms apply.
Russ Springer, Paul Sorrento, Alvaro Espinosa, Jeremy Burnitz, Bud Black, Chad OJ, Julian Tavares, Paul Assenmacher, Alan Embry.
All right, I want to toss to this Chip Kelly sound and video that we teased before because I think it's a pretty good solution with where things are headed because it's pretty wild right now. And it's been dubbed the Wild West by head coaches in front of microphones who used to have an honor amongst thieves about them, and they're just openly saying, yeah, this is a bit crazy. And a lot of coaches are telling you by staying in the pros or leaving. Like Joe Brady was a hot name in college football circles. That guy could have had plenty of head coaching jobs. He wanted to be a quarterback's coach at Carolina, and he's now presently turning around the Buffalo Bills as their OC. There is really no big-time rewards outside of money when it comes to college football coaching. But Chip Kelly has seen the lay of the land. He's seen a lot of other coaches take his style and improve on it. And he's a pretty good savvy veteran of the game. And he's watched all this happen, and he has a couple of possible solutions.
What is the biggest issue that you might have right now, whether it be realignment, NIL, transfer portal, and what would your plan maybe be to try to solve it?
I think they're all a problem, and I think we need to have a conference commissioner. I think football should be separate from the other sports. Just the fact that our school is leaving to go to the Big Ten in football, our softball team should be playing Arizona in softball. Our basketball team should be playing Arizona in basketball. But because football left, And they're saying, well, how do you do that? Well, Notre Dame's independent in football, and they're in a conference and everything else. I think we should all be independent in football. And you can have a 64-team conference that's in the Power 5, and you can have a 64-team conference in the Group of 5. And we separate it, and we play each other. You can have the West Coast teams, and then every year we play 7 games against the West Coast teams, and then we play the East. So we play Syracuse, Boston College, Pitt, West Virginia, Virginia. Then the next year you play against the South while you still play your 7 teams. You can play a 7-game schedule. You can play 4 against another another division opponent, and you can always play against one Mountain West team every year so that we can still keep those rivalries going. Not that I've really thought about this. Not that I've a lot of spent of time on this. But I think if you went together collectively as a group and said there's 132 teams and we all share the same TV contract, so that the Mountain West doesn't have one and the Sun Belt doesn't have another and SEC has one and they have another, that we all go together, that's a lot of games, and there's a lot of people in the TV world that would go through it. You can sponsor each one. Instead of calling it Group of 5 and Power 5, you can call it Amazon, Nike, bid that out to things. You do a lot of different things. But I think if we still do the same thing and take all that money, and I would do this, and I think this needs to be done, that money now needs to be shared with the student athletes, and there needs to be revenue sharing, and the players should get paid, and you can get rid of NLI, and the schools should be paying the players because the players are what the product is. And the fact that they don't get paid is really the biggest travesty. Not that I've thought about it.
Stugotz, this is interesting because of who's saying it, okay? I know he's fallen off the map. I know he's no longer visionary genius, but once upon a time, right next to Nike's founder, he made organ matter at football, and we were all like, why? Why would that matter? Well, Nike got into the college football business, and they hired this guy, visionary. He'll monitor your sleep. He'll do all sorts of smoothie nutrient testing. He's a savant. And then he goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, chews him up, spits him out the side of the business, but he's still that competitive guy. And he's still the guy that the business chews up, but he's super smart. And he cares deeply about competing. And there he is, just laying it naked bare. Yeah, just turn it into the giant football business. It's what it already is. Stop hiding from it. Just let's play all each other. Let's all grab the TV money, and let's all be greedy. And I'll be Chip Kelly, revolutionary here, changing the business because I want to be ahead of the game. Like, that guy's not going to get tired and just retire, fat and lazy. He's losing right now, Stugotz. Like, he's losing. He was at the top of the sport, the top of the mountain, and now he's sliding down the other end, and he's got to keep up in the money game. And what he's telling you is, let's just do this out in front of everybody. Let's just make it giant conference football, minor leagues, XFL, USFL will dominate forever. Just make me the CEO of this part of the business.
Amazon and Adidas, what a great idea. I mean,
first of all, Chip Kelly is a winner. He won the LA Bowl this weekend, presented by Gronk against Boise State. Big win with their backup quarterback after their other, well, I guess they're all backups, right? Everyone's a backup. There's so many players in the portal. It's hard to keep track of with the bowl games. Anyways, I had Boise State. He brings up so many things in this 2-minute clip. First, he says that college football needs a commissioner. That's something that a lot of college football fans and media have been saying for a long time, especially during 2020, the COVID year, when every conference had their own plan for what to do. It was a absolute abject disaster and a humongous cluster. I don't ever foresee a situation in which all of the conferences agreed to elect a commissioner and that person would be like the Roger Goodell of college football and everyone would hate them. But it is kind of crazy that college football doesn't have an organizing body that monitors all the different conferences and has a sort of rules that all the conferences have to abide by. We saw this with Jim Harbaugh and his Big Ten punishment. If he had done that in the SEC this season, they might have a completely different punishment for him because all the conferences operate somewhat independently. The other thing he mentions is paying a revenue share to players, which I think a lot of people have been advocating for a while. I don't think that should be in lieu of NIL because I still think players should be able to earn money off of their name, image, and likeness. If they're famous, why wouldn't you be? But then you get into the problem of if players are legal employees of the universities, which is something that's been going on in the courts for a while, and right now there's some momentum for the NLRB to make a decision on it, but there was a lawsuit earlier this year that kind of ended in a bit of a standstill on the cause that was in California. So that doesn't seem like anything that's going to happen imminently. And then there's we should have a mega conference thing, and we should do all the, like, you know, 2 conferences and we play against each other. And he kind of lost me with that.
UCLA playing Pitt in West Virginia. I was like, where are we?
If you're on the West Coast, like, the whole point should be, like, to keep things somewhat, like, regionally standardized, because it's putting a lot of stress on budgets and on players and on traveling like that. I was like, okay, why don't we, I have an idea. We have 5 power conferences based on geography, and you play against the teams in your power conference. So you don't have to fly from LA to Rutgers on a Saturday. But I don't know. He brought up a lot of really good points, though, and I think it's important that college football coaches start to wade into these territories. The other thing is that there's now a lawsuit in Oregon over Title IX, because there are female student athletes in Oregon that are claiming that they haven't been given the same NIL opportunities as their male counterparts. And now I think Title IX problems are going to be forefront in this discussion as well, because college football gets so much roster spots, so many resources, and we already know that a lot of schools, in fact, most schools don't follow Title IX requirements. But I'm interested to see what happens with this lawsuit, because it's fairly obvious that college football is such a big business. The universities are making so much money off of their rights. Like, this is going to be a big problem down the road.
And they're rewriting the rules as they go, and it's worth it. Like, you do understand, Stugotz, right? Whatever Jim Harbaugh was doing, cheating or not cheating,
right?
Worth it.
Yes, of course.
Totally worth it.
Yes. They'll vacate a championship from him in 5 years and no one will care.
But I'm saying, once you strip all the morality out of it.
Jess, were you out of breath?
Yeah, that was. I was drinking. I had like 3 espresso shots this morning.
Jessica,
you asked me to talk about college football.
You have never held the ball that long. That's the longest you have ever held the ball. You were dribbling 100,000 miles an hour
with no one to pass.
You were dribbling in circles, and we were all looking at you. What happened? Is it the coffee?
He brought up so many things. I wanted to talk about everything. I wanted to talk about the LA Bowl presented by Gronk.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, did you at any point in there become self-conscious, saying, I am dribbling 100 miles an hour and I've been talking for 2 straight minutes?
The second deep breath?
I'm more worried that coffee now makes me out of breath. That's not something that used to happen to me.
I thought it was a stamina thing, though. I thought it's because I thought what was happening there. You correct me if I'm wrong. I may have it wrong. I've never had this clear an angle at seeing you in the back row, because it's usually hidden behind somebody. I believe what happened there is you could have done a full show on just what Chip Kelly said.
And I will on Gen CFB coming to your screens Thursday.
Well, this is Stugotz. I don't know what we're going to do about this, because we've got 2 forms of journalism over here.
What happened to Foot Girls?
Well, what did happen to Foot Girls?
Happened to Foot Girls?
Mike Ryan is over here, and I want to pin you down on this, Mike. Tell me, the University of Miami, I was hoping they would get in the game for Tua's brother. So the University of Miami...
I mean, they were in the game for Tua's brother, Dan, but to answer your question, Tua's actively trying to find a year of eligibility that no one thinks is there, but he and his family feels pretty strongly they can find one.
Tua's brother, not Tua.
Yeah, to his brother. Right. Well, to his family, certainly.
I feel like Brock Purdy should come back. Like, someone should have eligibility that's not making that much money in the NFL and come back and play, right?
Or use it as leverage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to leave the NFL because NIL money is so much that I can make more money playing for college, and I'll go back to the NFL.
Brock Purdy's starting at Boise next year.
I can't wait for that day.
Well, let's, Mike, please, because some of these quarterbacks are making more than Brock Purdy.
A lot. Like I would say in college football last year, and somewhere between 5 and 10 starting college quarterbacks were making more than Brock Purdy.
All right, so give me, please, a reported range, because this is a news and information segment, because Jessica's got a lot of information, but you have to have better news than her. If I pin you down on what's it going to cost roughly for the University of Miami to get in the quarterback game here, with its best option, give me a wide range there of what that costs.
It was reported that Cam Ward this was put out by Cam Ward's reps, and a lot of reputable sites ran with it, that he was looking for something in the neighborhood of 2 to 2.5, which would have been outside of the Rashada thing that ended up.
It would have set the market, correct?
It would establish a new high when it came to that market, and I don't think that's exactly where the market's going to be for him. I think it'll fall in line between somewhere where FSU paid for their last quarterback and the number that he's asking for, and I think that's where it'll settle, and that's just not based off of any firsthand stuff, but just generally how these conversations and how the reporting has been done on Cam Ward, I think those schools are willing to do that.
Here's some news for you, Dan. Notre Dame got a wide receiver from FIU. Pause up.
Pause down.
What happened, Billy? Billy, how have you felt about the last 15
I hate it.
minutes?
I hate the portal, if that's what you're asking me, because my team loses all of their GD good players.
I think it's a grad transfer, though. So
You are a minor league.
He's good. He set this year the record for receiving yards in a season, and the quarterback play wasn't the best.
we need it so bad.
Be excited. Past T.Y. Hilton and some others, on the
Billy,
all-time list. Yes,
so FIU is
Pause
the minor leagues for
How dare you.
the big business of football.
I don't like that.
I dared. You're not getting any players coming to FIU.
You shan't do that again.
They're going elsewhere.
Yeah.
How did you just feel, though, about Jessica dribbling the ball for 2 straight minutes, 100 miles an hour?
I was fine with it. Didn't bother me.
I learned from the best. I love you, Billy.
Me? Moi?
I don't know, Billy. I'm coming for your throne.
Hey, it's Mike, and I want to motivate you to make Miller Lite a part of your football watching experience. Here's the pitch. It's got only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving. With a smooth taste and a crisp, clean finish, you get the taste that you crave without the calories. And, football fans, I can assure you, from personal experience, there is no other light beer, not on this wonderful planet of ours, that goes with football quite like Miller Lite. Make football time Miller time. No matter what team you're rooting for, there is one thing we can all agree on. Miller Lite and football bring us all together. So, I want you to take my advice and make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.